So now I'm going to start with the tail. So we're going to be using the same light brown yarn that we've been using for the body. And we're going to start with an adjustable ring. So make your slip knot, chain 2, and into the second chain from the hook. So here we have 1, here we have 2. You're just going to insert your hook, and you're going to start with 6 single crochets for round 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And here you just pull on the tail to close the loop. Okay, so now for round 2, we're going to follow the pattern of 6 increases. So like I said before, a good trick would be just to count back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this is where we're going to be inserting our hook into. There you go. And we're just going to be doing 6 increases. So we make our first single crochet and our handy dandy stitch marker just to be safe. So inserting 2 into every stitch all the way till you reach the end of the round. So now I finished round 2, and we're going to begin rows 3 through 8. So for rows 3 through 8, it's just single crochet in each stitch around. So you're supposed to have 12 stitches at this point. So just as I said in my last tip, make sure to use this time to count. Make sure that you have 12 so you can increase or decrease accordingly. So you have 1, 2, 3, and just single crochet in each stitch around for rows 3 to 8. So I'm going to finish those rows and I will meet you back at the end. So I reached the end of round 8, and I'm just going to explain what happens now. So we're going to start stuffing the tail little by little because it's going to have 2 points where it's going to curve. Now this is completely optional, but when I made the doll, I found that using pipe cleaners along with the stuffing helps keep the shape and structure better. I have about 6 here. So if you wanted to use pipe cleaners, I highly recommend it. It's not mandatory, but it's just something that I used, and I'm going to show you how I integrated it into the tail. So I begin with my normal stuffing, and I take just the slightest bit just to pad the bottom so the pipe cleaner ends don't poke out through the tail. And I bunch them up and I set them here, so as we see it's not going to come out of here because that was padded. And as I stuff each section, I just put the stuffing around the pipe cleaners to kind of pad it in there. And when I crochet the rest of the tail, I just work around them and kind of just pretend like they're not there. So as you can kind of see, the stuffing is surrounding the pipe cleaners, and the pipe cleaners are bunched up in the middle, but they're not really touching well, they're not supposed to be touching. Just be careful that you don't have any ends like this because they can be sharp. So that means that when that means that when my pipe cleaners was bent. So this part, well, it could take a little longer. Again, it's not mandatory. I just find that at the end, when I want to have the tail a certain shape, it helps to keep that form. All right, and this is how it should be. So I'm going to continue with the rows, and you'll see what I do with the pipe cleaners. Okay, so now I can begin the next round, and this is where the tail is going to start to curve. So you're going to start with 2 single crochets. So here I made my first one of the round. I'm making another one. So as I'm working, you can see these pipe cleaners are here, just kind of pretending that they're not there, just moving it as I go in the round. And next we're going to be making 2 half double crochets. So in the next 2 stitches, you're going to add a half double crochet in each of them. Here we have 2 next 4 stitches, you're going to do a double crochet. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and now 2 double crochets. Sorry, 2 half double crochets. And we have 2 stitches left, so we're just going to finish off with 2 single crochets. So for the next 3 rows, it's going to be the exact same pattern. We're going to have 4 single crochets. This will be my first one, 2, 3, 4. Let me zoom out just a little bit. And then 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're going to finish off the round with 4 more single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this will be your pattern until you reach round 12. Okay, so I finished, and you can kind of tell here that it is starting to bend, and that's exactly what we want. So next, for the next 8 rows, it's just going to be the same pattern. You're just going to single crochet in every stitch in the row. So I'm just going to single crochet in every stitch, and I'll meet you back when I'm done. So I've completed my 8 rounds. So I'm just going to take my stitch marker out and set it aside. And now I'm going to stuff this section. So as you see, there's like a slight bend here. And that's going to be more pronounced now when we stuff, and if you have the pipe cleaners, even more so. So basically, you're just going to take light amount of stuffing and stuff gently around the pipe cleaners, or just stuff this section. But you're going to be careful whether or not you have pipe cleaners or not. Do not stuff where this bend is, because if you stuff there, then it's going to stay in this gentle bend shape. It's not going to easily bend in the closed shape that we want. So when you stuff, make sure to stuff from here to here, not from where we last left off. Leave this section empty of stuffing. So I'm going to stuff this, and then I'll meet you back. So I've now stuffed, and now what you're going to do is just bend this. So pretend like you're about to break it in half, just bend it. And now you see that it has a more pronounced shape. So you can shape it as you want, but we'll be doing more shaping later. You can see if it's a little flat and you wanted to add a little more stuffing, then go for it. But remember, just do not stuff this part, because if you do, then it'll probably stay in a looser shape. And if you do have pipe cleaners and you want it to be in a different shape other than just bent straight down, then the pipe cleaners are there to add support. So now we're going to start the second part of the bend. So we're going to have this part bends like this, and we're going to have the part that bends like that. So to start the round, what you're going to do is start with 1 single crochet, mark your stitch, and make 2 half double crochets. So in each of the next 2 stitches, make 1 half double crochet, 1 and 2. And then you're going to make 4 double crochets. So you have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you're going to make 2 half double crochets. 1, 2. And then you're going to finish off the round with 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. The next 3 rounds are going to have the exact same pattern. So you're going to start with 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3. You're going to make 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're going to finish off the round with 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the pattern is going to be the same for the next 2 rounds. I'm going to make them and meet you back. I've reached to the end, so now we're going to start the next round. And for the next 4 rounds, it's going to be the same pattern. You're just going to single crochet in each stitch around. So I'm going to single crochet in each round, and I will meet you back when I'm done. Now we can begin the very last round for the tail. So you're just going to start with 4 single crochets. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. A decrease. 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to finish off the round with a decrease. So now you can take your scissors, fasten off, you can remove your stitch marker, and we've finished the tail, mostly. Now what you're going to do is you're just going to stuff this very last section. Remember, do not stuff this part that has the little bend in it. If you have the pipe cleaners, stuff around the pipe cleaners. If you don't have the pipe cleaners, just normally stuff, minus that one section. Again, if you do have the pipe cleaners, I recommend using small amounts of stuffing. You can always add more. You don't want it to be too clunky on one side. You don't want to push it too far in, especially if one part is meant to not have any stuffing at all. You can take a chance to look at this. See, I maybe added a little too much stuffing on this side, so I can take some out, readjust, add some on this side. Just about taking time, looking. And now you're going to do the exact same thing here that we did here. Just fold it, pretend that you're trying to break it in half. And now we have the shape that we want. So you can plump it, squish it, get it to the shape that you want. And now if you do have pipe cleaners, all you have to do with these little ends right here is just take your scissors and snip it. So just trim them. Don't try to be the Hulk. Don't try to snip them all at once unless you have some amazing pliers. Take your time, cut one at a time, and I'm going to trim mine now, and I'll come back when I'm done. So I just trimmed off my pipe cleaners. This is what the completed tail should look like, so now you can set this aside for later. So now we're going to be making the arms, starting with our light brown yarn. We're going to make an adjustable ring. So make our slip knot, we chain 2, and in our second chain from the hook, we're going to insert our hook, and we're going to single crochet 1, 2, 3, and 4 for round 1. And this might start out a little tight because we want him to have kind of pointy arms. So we're going to count back 1, 2, 3, 4 and insert our hook. And for round 2, we're just going to single crochet in, let me make sure my tail doesn't get in the way. We're going to single crochet in every stitch around. So that should be 4. Do take your time with this because it can get a little confusing, especially if you're not using a stitch marker. If you made something too tight, it might be hard to see, but you're just going to single crochet 1 in each, 3 and 4. For round 3, we're going to start with an increase. So go into your next stitch, make your first single crochet, and in that same stitch add another single crochet, and then you're going to single crochet, add another increase, and single crochet again. And for rows 4 to 7, it's going to be the same pattern. You're just going to single crochet in each stitch around. No increases, no decreases, just single crochet. So I'm going to make those rounds and I'll meet you back when I'm done. So I've completed, and now I can just snip and fasten off, and here we have one arm. So you're just going to make another one of this and set it aside for later. So now we're going to make the ears. So just like all of our other pieces in the round, we're going to start with an adjustable ring, slip stitch or slip knot, and 2 chains. And for round 1, we're going to make 6 single crochets into that adjustable ring. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you just pull the tail tight, close the loop, and you finished round 1. Now for rounds 2 to 5, it's going to be the same pattern. You're just going to single crochet 1 in each stitch around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the beginning of the round. And I'm just going to single crochet in every stitch around until I have 5 rounds. Alright, so this is the last round of the ear. So you can just snip your yarn and fasten off. And you're going to make another one of these. And when you set these pieces aside, because we're not assembling until the very end, I just wanted to kind of point out the difference between the ears and the arms because they are very similar. So when you're assembling, I wouldn't want you to sew his arm to his head and vice versa. So this is the ear. It is the shorter one, and that's kind of, you know, how you can tell them apart. But if you want, and as I do, I kind of pin which one. So I marked the ear with a stitch marker so that when I grab it quickly when I'm assembling, I don't make a mistake, because mistakes are very easy to make, especially when pieces look as similar as these do. So now we're going to start with the belly using the tan colored yarn. So you're just going to make your slip knot, just as we've been doing. And you're going to chain 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And now we're going to be making row 1. So to make row 1, we don't have to make a chain because this 9th chain will be our chain 1, as you're going to see. So working into the 2nd chain from the hook. So here's for the first chain, 2nd one. And just like when we were working the other one, you're going to just work at the top. So here's the top V, bottom V. You're going to be making a single crochet in each chain. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And this is row 1. So for row 2, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. And now we're going to be making 8 single crochets. So as you can see, the V's are here on the top. That's where we're working into. I did my chain 1, first set of V's, making single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So now you're going to be making 6 more rows of just 8 single crochets. So you're going to be copying row 2 for 6 more rows, where you're going to chain 1, turn, and single crochet 8 all the way down, and just repeat that until you have a total of 8 rows. Okay, so now that you reached the end of row 8, it should look like this. You're going to chain 1, turn your work again, and we're going to decrease. So just like we did with the Mort body, you're just going to insert, pull through, insert, pull through all 3. And next we're going to do 1 single crochet, and we're going to half double crochet 2. So 1, 2, we're going to single crochet, and then we're going to end the row with a decrease. So for the next row, just chain 1, and once again, we're going to decrease, add a half double crochet, another half double crochet, and then we're going to end it with a decrease. For the next row, just going to chain 1 and turn, and you're just going to decrease twice. So here we only have 4 stitches, so decreasing twice is going to leave us with 2 stitches. And as you see, we have this nice, it started out kind of squarish down here, and it ended with a nice round curve. So now you can just cut your yarn, fasten off, and you can set this aside for later. So now we're going to be working on the face of the doll, and we're going to be using the same tan yarn that we used for the belly. So you're just going to do a slip knot, and we're going to chain 7. So yarn over, pull through to make a chain, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So now we're just going to turn our chain to the side and start row 1. So for row 1, we're going to skip the first chain on the hook and go into the second one, and we're going to single crochet all the way down the chain. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So for row 2, you're just going to chain 1 and turn. And now we're going to start with a decrease. So just like we've been doing, normal decrease. And then we're going to double crochet. So to do a double crochet, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over and pull through. And then you're going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. So there's your double crochet. We're going to do 1 more of those. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. And then we're going to do a decrease to finish off row 2. So just a normal decrease as you've been doing. And this is row 2. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to snip the yarn, and we're still working on the face, but now we're going to be working only in 2 of the stitches. So you can just pass it off, leave a small tail, and you're just going to flip the work. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. You're just going to insert your hook into the second one, and you're going to reattach your yarn. So here I'm going to make a slip knot. And I'll insert back in. So once you insert your yarn, or reattach your yarn I should say, chain 1, and you're going to single crochet into that same stitch. And then you're going to single crochet into the next stitch. And that is round 3. So for rounds 4 through 8, we're just going to be repeating round 3. So you're just going to chain 1, single crochet in the 2 stitches of the row, chain 1, and repeat until you reach the end of row 8. So I'm going to finish those rows and I'll meet you back when I'm done. So I reached the end of row 8, and now we're going to finish off with the last row, row 9. So you're just going to chain 1 and do a decrease. So we're just trying to make this tip as small as possible. So now the row ends with 1 stitch, and now you can just cut the yarn and fasten off. So now we're going to be working on the eyes. So we're going to start with the yellow yarn. And what we're going to do is we're going to be making an adjustable ring, just like when we worked in the round. So you just make your slip knot, and you chain 2, and you're going to be working into the second chain from the hook. So here's chain 1, and here's chain 2. So you're just going to insert your hook, and you're going to be making 4 single crochets into the adjustable ring. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you can just pull the tail to close the loop. So even though we started this row in a loop, we're not going to be going around. What we're going to do is we're going to chain 1 and turn our whole work so that we're basically working back in the way that we came. So you're going to start row 2 with an increase. So just 2 single crochets into the very first stitch. Try this again. Like I mentioned in my last video, I kind of care about the tension with my work, and I like to have a tighter tension. Okay, so in the second stitch, it's also going to be an increase, but it's going to be a little different. instead of doing 2 single crochets, you're going to do a single crochet and a half double crochet into the same stitch. Next, we're going to also be doing an increase, but we're going to start it with a half double crochet and end it with a single crochet. And in our last stitch, we're going to be doing it the same as always with 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So here we have row 1 and row 2. So now you can just take your scissors and fasten off. So the eyes have 2 parts, a yellow part and a black part. You're going to need 2 of these yellow parts. So just rewind the video and make another one of these. For the second part of the eyes, we're just going to be using black yarn. Now, I'm going to do this part of the tutorial in a lighter color, so that way it'll be easier to see, but this will be done in black yarn. So I'm going to be making this color with pink, because pink is actually the color that you're going to use for the mouth, and this part of the mouth and the eyes are the exact same pattern. So you're just going to make an adjustable ring. So create your slip knot, and you're just going to chain 2, and into the second chain from the hook you're going to single crochet 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you can pull your loop tight, and that is it. So you can just snip your yarn and fasten off. So remember, you're going to be making 2 of these in black for the eyes, and you've just made 1 in pink for the mouth. So for the last part of it all, we're going to be making the feet, and this is supposed to be done in the dark brown yarn, but as you can see, it kind of is hard to see on camera. So I'm going to be making it with a lighter color just for the tutorial, but remember to do this in your dark brown yarn. I also want to point out that this is going to be done with a 3.5 millimeter. Up until now we've been using a 5.5 millimeter, but now we're going to be using a smaller hook. So to begin, we're going to make an adjustable ring. So make your slip knot and chain your 2. And in the second chain from the hook, you're going to single crochet 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now we're going to be chaining 2 and turning. So just like for the eyes and the mouth, we're not going to be working in the round, we're going to be working in rows. So for the first stitch, what you're going to do is you're going to yarn over and do a double crochet increase. So you're going to be crocheting 2 double crochets into the same stitch. So here we have it in this stitch, and we're just going to go back into that same stitch and make another double crochet. And now into the next stitch, we're going to add a slip stitch. So this kind of just adds a tiny round shape, I should say. So next we're going to chain 2, and in the next available stitch, so not in these chains, you're going to yarn over and put another double crochet increase. So that's 2 double crochets in the same stitch. And once again, in the next stitch, you're going to do a slip stitch. And to finish off, going to chain 2, do another double crochet increase. So 1, 2, and a slip stitch. So this is it for the feet pad. So you can just fasten off as normal. And this tail may not be sufficient enough to pull this tightly closed, but luckily, because these are so close together, I just tie them together like this. I know knotting is kind of a controversial topic in the crochet community, but if it works, it works. That's my philosophy. But if you also wanted to do it in a magic ring, magic rings do close a bit tighter on their own from the start, but I know if you're a beginner, sometimes a magic ring might be a little harder to do. Definitely was when I was a beginner. So make 2 of these and remember to make them in dark brown yarn.